The NBA has quite the list of what-ifs. From if players never got injured to trades that never happened, it's always interesting to realize that if these what-ifs came to fruition, the league's history would be flipped on its head. But there's another side of NBA what-ifs, and it's about the game. While people have been talking about 4-point lines since, well, forever, today let's take a look at something different. It doesn't involve a player, and it doesn't involve a happening. What if that backboard you always see next to the rim didn't exist? What happened to those shots that went way off? What are the implications that we can expect from this change? Stick around as we dive pretty damn deep. Let's talk about the anatomy of a hoop just a sec. No NBA hoop is complete without a backboard. The backboard is arguably one of the most important parts of a hoop. Backboards are made out of glass that can break if you bend the limits a little too much. Nearly every backboard you see, let's say at the park, gym, or NBA game, is rectangular, with rare oval and fan-shaped exceptions typically used in casual settings. Backboards are 6 feet wide and 3.5 feet tall, and the rims attached to the backboards are 18 inches in diameter. Backboards have an inner rectangle that can help a player correctly aim for a basket. So, removing the backboard but keeping the rim wouldn't just be something cosmetic. You now no longer have something for the ball to bank. Aim would become more precise and would slightly change how scoring is done in the paint. Layups would cease to exist, and floaters would dominate. In addition, that inner rectangle helps with shooting. Its reference point can be used in a variety of other situations, such as shooting from the midi or to 3. Without it, shooting percentages likely might plummet a little throughout the league. Every NBA player has that reference point ingrained into their mind. The backboard in modern NBA hoops also has the shot and game clock mounted. The backboard might seem like yet another piece of equipment, but when you look more into it, the more integrated it gets. NBA backboards contain the breakaway rim, bolted to a steel plate that passes through the glass to the support stanchion, preventing the glass from shattering by a very strong player by transferring dunk forces to the floor-mounted arm. Since the backboard is glass, it allows for the fans to see action in the paint in more depth. If the backboards were opaque, then you'd have a very hard time knowing if the defender was that close to blocking another shot unless you were in the absolute front of the seats. Backboards provide the optimal angle for above the rim cameras that are mounted directly behind the glass, which are used in replays, highlight reels, and sometimes referee challenges. One more thing to mention is that some players who are elite at defense can use the backboard to trap the ball before it hits the glass to prevent a goaltending call. Players like LeBron, as part of his chase downs, do this, and that trapping technique makes for one of the most intimidating plays in all of basketball. So now that I have explained just how important backboards are, it's time to remove the backboard. But wait, since the backboard is so integrated, if I were to just remove the thing, the rim and shot clock would come out of it. So if the NBA never had a backboard but still wanted the clock and rim, they'd need some re-engineering, which would actually be quite a simple task. All they'd have to do is make mounts and positions identical to if they had the backboard. And boom! What you have now is basically a wireframe version of a hoop. It would look cool, and it would actually improve visibility even more for you poor fans sitting far away from the court. If, for whatever reason, nobody noticed the backboardless hoop until the game started, the reactions from the crowd, players, and media, it would be shock. Something like this happening would almost certainly break the internet. The players wouldn't believe it. These guys have been used to regular backboard hoops for years, even over a decade. It would be one of the hardest throws off the guard. While a backboardless hoop is shocking and hilarious, it also does contain its risks. Let's say LeBron James goes for a 3-pointer, but then he overshoots badly. Normally with a backboard, the ball would hit the glass or maybe the very end of the rim, but without it, it would be an infinite air ball. The ball would go over the rim, over the mounts, and unfortunately into the crowd. All of a sudden, watching NBA games at the front seats would be a thriller so insane, you'd actually need to pay serious attention instead of being on your phone browsing Shams Charania on Blue Sky. Imagine you're on that phone, and then bang! Your phone gets hit, it's cracked, and you're wondering what the hell just happened, only to remember 2 seconds later that the cause was no backboard. A new fear would be unlocked for not just the crowd, but the players. Trying to avoid hitting the crowd would become a valuable skill. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. Things get worse when you realize how this backboardless hoop was made. Without the backboard, let's say during the first game and after they forgot to fix the official height of the shot clock, leading to it being way down instead of way up, it would actually be possible that a bad shot would hit the clock, causing the display to break or crack, the game to be stopped, and a delay so long you could go to Carl's Jr. before they even finish. As the NBA would realize the problem, they would make the shot clocks out of stronger material, so strong that even if you absolutely send the ball at full speed to hit it, it wouldn't move a single inch, or get tilted. Before the adverts you see right here, these screens would also fall victim. The best they could do is make the screens out of diamond. It sounds viable, but remember for every 30 teams, there are 2 hoops, so that's 60 hoops and some money to burn. not exactly great for the league's financial optimization. So yeah, basically on the front seats, the scene would be super chaotic. You might see drinks spilling from the people who are panicking, a chair that fell or two, and probably some screaming. But honestly, it would be quite fun. Imagine a fan saying that they think the most exciting thing about the NBA is dodging the ball when it doesn't hit anything. If the backboard were to be removed and the hoop be restructured, some clutch moments throughout history would have ended up as just another typical crowd-hitting shot, or some moments would have looked even more impressive. Famous examples that remain unchanged are Damian Lillard's 2019 playoffs buzzer beater, Michael Jordan's The Shot, or that one Curry three-pointer TikTok still talks about to this day. But some famous shots had the ball hit the backboard. So, how would this affect these players' legacies? One example of a shot that hit the backboard as a buzzer beater was Kobe's one over Dwayne Wade in 2009. This was one of the moments that solidified his Mamba mentality and further assured he was one of the clutchest players of all time. Without the backboard, it would once again be a shot the crowd would have to dodge. And without that moment in his arsenal, this would be one of the worst lowlights of the Mamba's career. People might view him as, yet again, a choker, just like his performance in the 2004 finals. This miss would be the elephant in the room for his 2009 championship-winning season. Also, LeBron's chase down blocks, he would have to learn a new skill. Instead of trapping the ball on the glass, it would be on the mounts. It doesn't look as cool, and it's harder to do on the rim because it's much thinner. Thus, his chase down technique skill level will be raised further. Another player that would be affected without the backboard is Tim Duncan. Duncan was known for his career-defining 45-degree bank shot, and it was one of the reasons why one of his most notable nicknames is the Fundamental. Removing the backboard, Duncan would have to reinvent his game by somehow finding techniques as efficient as a bank shot. This would make it that he would now have to be a switch-only player. If he removed his bank shot and Duncan was unable to learn anything new, Duncan would be far from the offensive juggernaut he was in his prime, and would only be remembered for his defense. And remember this from 1985? Michael Jordan causing the backboard to shatter? It's almost certain that, without a backboard, this footage you're seeing right here isn't recorded at all. Not even the dunk itself would survive the sands of time. Arguably, this is the biggest erase of history. Without the Italy dunk, a masterpiece of Jordan lore would no longer be, and the Air Jordan shoes would have less things to work with in terms of marketing. Beyond moments being erased, fans and players getting shocked, the safety risks would probably lead to players flocking to social media to complain to Adam Silver why they removed the backboard. They would argue having to dunk 8 times in 48 minutes of game time wouldn't just be inconvenient, it would probably ruin the fun for those little kids. With Adam Silver getting criticism from all ends of the league, he might be pressured enough to bring it back, but the damage would have been done. You'd already have players suffering from bruises, hurt feelings, and frustration. Let's say at the end of the league's 7th game, the NBA announces that they're changing back to having a backboard again, inferably because of the safety issues, but Adam Silver wouldn't mention that. Anyways, I'm somerandomxander, this is it for the video, and remember guys, stay random. Goodbye.